Daily anime fan, single female lead, highlight, an uninteresting author wrote an uninteresting book and encountered a group of interesting readers, serious introduction. The daily account of Little Poker Street author Inappropriate Introduction. As is well known, Doraemon is a fantasy anime with a mystical timeline and pseudo-science and true magic. That wonderful timeline is as puzzling as Crayon Shin-chan and a certain Reaper elementary school student. The irresponsible deity picked out a little rabbit from an unfortunate flower grower who had passed away, and randomly arranged her identity and assets for her to go to this scientific world of nuclear peace and low martial arts, to have an infinite second life that is close to immortality. Oh, by the way, there is also the eternal golden finger. The equivalent exchange and helpful reward panel. From then on, this seemingly nonsensical child was introduced to the fantasy world, where Daixiong and Lan Pengzi had an additional seemingly inconspicuous neighbor girl. Note: due to the different translations of the Daxiong version and the Shuetian version, I will plan the setting of this book uniformly. The author is destined to be different from the original work, and this is the first time. Please forgive and criticize any shortcomings in writing. Chapter 0. Wedge. The Neighbor Girl and a Working God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Irene's mind is a bit confused because according to common sense, she should be sent to the morgue now and then find time to cremate. After all, she has advanced stomach cancer. She had already experienced firsthand how uncomfortable it was to swallow the anger of a person who never gets angry, and the pain of suffocation in death. Now when she opens her eyes, what she sees is not an incinerator or a crematorium, but also not a hospital. In front of Irene stood a seemingly very kind old man against a vast white background. If it weren't for his playful and smiling face, as if he were a pyramid scheme leader, perhaps it was, "Child, you are fortunate to have met me. Due to your previous donation of 3 Hope primary schools to the mountainous area, you gave up your high-paying career. In the last 10 years of your life, you frequently went to the countryside to poverty alleviation. In the past year, due to irregular work habits and diet, you finally discovered the unfortunate death of late-stage gastric cancer, which moved me. Therefore, I will assign you to a beautiful anime world to live a happy life, and I will give you." "Wait, let me know the price I need to pay first," the old man said before Irene interrupted and asked. Irene doesn't believe that there is a free lunch in the world. If the person in front of her really has the ability to reincarnate her into another world, then he must have something for himself. "When I was in elementary school, my Mrs. IQ was the top in the class. There are no requirements, but there will be some costs, but you are indeed much better than those middle and late-stage teenagers and flower-crazy girls who feel like they are the son of fate when they come to this space." The old man showed a surprised expression, welcoming so many task executors and meritorious individuals in this independent space. However, there are not many little girls like this who clearly know that they cannot go for free. Simply put, I am the sole hub transfer station staff responsible for collecting merits, and I am also the so-called god of your world. Lucky people who occasionally break into this place can choose to become task executors and earn merits in the small world to pay us in exchange for their beautiful second life in the new world. The kind old man continued, although it seemed somewhat inappropriate. "Or someone like you who already has merits, we will not assign any tasks to someone like you. Instead, we will assign you a new world identity and assets based on your merits, giving you a special resource called the Golden Finger in your place, and then fulfill your request. You will need to pay us your previous life's merits as compensation." "Sounds good, okay, I agree." Irene thought about it for a moment. Anyway, she didn't know how to use her merits. Why not sell them a favor? They all said that good people have good rewards, and it's good to exchange those elusive things for a new and happy life. *******, asking for immortality. Laughing to death, I don't know how much merit is needed to achieve it, and she's not one of those boys who suffer from secondary illnesses. Besides, even if I don't cultivate myself, I am still very immortal, right? System research, okay, let me take a look. I've drawn a Japanese anime world face. If you don't want to change your name, please think of a Japanese surname for yourself. The old man agreed and searched through the void, eventually finding a face that looked very harmonious. Idle courtyard. Irene opened her mouth and came. So, after your reincarnation, your name will be Xianyuan Yilin. According to your merits, you will be allocated 1 billion yen in cash and a Japanese-style regular residence, and then, with the golden finger, you will be given equivalent exchange space and helpful points to exchange, right? The old man sipped the tea. He didn't know where he came from, and then operated and murmured to himself in front of the void, what's the difference between that thing and the system in novels? The operating principle is not much different, but the only difference from the system of task executors is that they do not publish tasks. When you have something that you need to do but cannot do on your own, you can use the equivalent exchange space to exchange with equivalent conditions or things. When you are willing to help others accumulate points, you can obtain a skill every 100 points, and points can be traded in the point store. The old man explained. How do I get that point? Irene raised her claws again and asked. Just be helpful, as the name suggests, you get 1 point for every good deed you do. By the way, spending points won't reduce your accumulated progress. The old man playfully blinked at her, but Irene felt a bit unable to describe. Iota_. The beauty. Probably, if his blinking state can be described as beautiful. Okay, thank you. At last, she was too shy to complain about this seemingly incorrect old fairy. What? Why don't you ask her why she doesn't suspect that all of this is her own dream? Firstly, she doesn't think her dream can dream of such a strange fairy, absolutely. Secondly, her sleep quality had always been poor before the advanced stage of gastric cancer, and she was always confused. It was impossible for her to be as awake as she is now. If she really slept so hard, it would be like kneeling down. If that's not a problem, please make a request to me, and then you can start a happy second life, said the old man. Please, don't you think it's very important for an old man to talk like that? Seeing the old man's plum blossom twice, Yilin couldn't help but want to roast. What is it? The old man suddenly turned pale. I endure, it's okay. I want to fill everything else with intelligence as usual, Irene asked after some thought. Okay, no problem. Wishing you a happy life in the afterlife, the old man said, opening a gap in the world and pushing Irene inside. Irene fell in a bit off guard and suddenly remembered that she hadn't asked what world it was before, so she shouted to a deity who didn't deserve a name, which world is it? It's Doraemon. A voice echoed from the void. Chapter 1. Daixiong's New Neighbors. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Irene Xianyuan. Department store defective / experimental / vulnerable prop recycling director, mechanical inspector, off-duty member of the Time and Space Patrol. This is Irene's ID card, an identity recognition card with built-in 3D imaging in the 22nd century, Kawasaki, Japan. Irene works as the head of the recycling department in the future department store building, picking up candies to eat while playing immersive games. She is currently earning a monthly salary of 2 million yen and openly fishing in a department store, PS. Although based on the future sales opportunities and prices in the unit drama, she can only buy 2 boxes of the highest luxury candies. Although the salary may not be high in the future, if not squandered, there is still over 500,000 yen left for daily needs. Irene is now living a very leisurely life every day. All she needs to do is pack the defective products collected by the future department store and throw them into the disposal furnace. Then, sort and store the materials decomposed from the recycling furnace in the warehouse. Because she is currently an 11-year-old elementary school girl, the company definitely cannot require her to do physical labor. It should be the identity arranged by that unreliable divine worker. After all, the clear employment rules in the department store stipulate that students under the age of 16 are not allowed to be hired. The identity arranged for her by the working person deity was that of the daughter of Cheap Father, the largest shareholder and chairman of the department store. Coupled with her exceptional talent, she had already obtained the qualification certificate for a mechanic, so she was exceptionally admitted. It's okay for Irene to be absent from work now, after all, she has a cheap chairman's father. No, I mean the recycling furnace is fully automated, with a conveyor belt and a robotic arm. She's actually just doing a part-time job to get pocket money. The Time and Space Patrol officers are only off duty and do not need to consider being sent to carry out tasks at the moment. They receive a basic salary allowance of 150,000 yen per month. Although I have a police certificate, I still receive some trivial matters about helping people find pets, and due to my young age, there may not be one task per month. It's like lying down and taking money, equals .. smiley face. Now it's time for my cheap dad to suggest taking a time machine back to the 21st century to find my childhood male god, Blue Fatty, Irene thought. Department stores earn 2 million yen per month, non-staff patrol officers earn 150,000 yen per month, and senior mechanical maintenance technicians earn 7.5 million yen per month. I have a stable monthly withdrawal of 9.65 million yen, and I still have a small treasury of 1 billion yen, which is what a wealthy woman feels like. Hee system, returning to her own estate in the evening, the cheap father had not yet returned home, so Irene called her father's secretary and asked him to help transfer the call to him. "What's wrong, my dear daughter? Did you miss your dad? Dad will be busy and go home soon." A somewhat hoarse but magnetic middle-aged speaker spoke up, and the virtual video phone gradually revealed a three-dimensional figure. A middle-aged man wearing a white jumpsuit with a Chinese character face and a mustache. This is the cheap father that the gods allocated to Irene. Xianyuan Chintai, actually, Dad, I want to go to school in the first part of the 21st century and learn about the culture of Kawasaki City at that time. Can I ask for your opinion? Epsilon, Irene grasped the slave nature of her father's daughter and coquettishly said to him. Okay, I need to come back regularly to see my dad. Chintai, who was middle-aged, pondered and finally agreed. Her daughter inherited the high intelligence of her mother, the biological researcher Fumiko Asano, and has completed 6 years of knowledge at Kawasaki Municipal Elementary School and Middle School in the 22nd century. She is currently studying high school knowledge. Thinking about my daughter working in the company recently, it's too hard, it's good to relax in the 21st century. Thank you Dad. Happy Father's Day. Help me tell Mom Happy Mother's Day, I left some gifts for you. Why did I leave first? Then she turned around and put the 2 latest dresses worth 19.3 million yen that she had bought with her 2 months of salary into the storage cabinets of Chintai and Fangzi. Pack up your simple luggage. A 1 billion yen fund conversion card, a portable prop decomposition and recycling furnace, a mechanical engineer maintenance equipment box, and a 4-dimensional prop pocket. Then I took a precise positioning time machine to meet my childhood god. 2 flowers bloom, each representing 1 branch today. Daixiong's mood was not very good because he scored 0 again. He ran all the way home, panting heavily. At the speed of his 100-meter sprint, he rushed to the 2nd floor in an instant, opened the door, threw his backpack, and lay it flat on the ground. Doraemon passed by holding oolong tea and 3 bronze gongs, and was instantly pulled down by Daixiong. At the same time, he heard almost every episode's essential dialogue. Doraemon. What are you doing? Ah. My gong burning. The room was cleaned up soon, but the air was very anxious, and Doraemon was fighting a cold war with Daixiong. Well. Forgive me, I will buy you double gong and dim sum. Daixiong clasped his hands together, devout as if he were the most loyal believer. After all, at this time, we can only rely on Doraemon. The soft-hearted blue chubby man soon forgave him, that's the limited edition of the copper gong burner that I waited in line for a long time to get. Besides, why are you all like this, Daxiong? If you don't do well on the exam, just work harder. Doraemon started preaching mode. I will definitely study hard next time, can you help me this time? Okay. I really can't do anything about you. I'll look for it, Doraemon said as she began rummaging through his treasure bag. Not long after, Doraemon discovered a suitable prop, but couldn't pull it out no matter how hard it was pulled. My 4-dimensional storage bag should have been cleaned long ago, really, it's even more messy than Daixiong's room. Doraemon teased herself as she tugged at the prop. Only a hiss was heard, and the prop and half a piece of paper fell out together. Ah! What's this? Not good, today is the day for robot maintenance. How could I forget such an important thing? It's really. The torn piece of paper from Doraemon was the maintenance notice from the 22nd century. What does that matter? Anyway, Doraemon, aren't you someone who hates the physical examination? I happen to miss it. Let's go again next time. What's the matter? The nearby big male said nonchalantly to the blue chubby guy. In the past 2 months, a particularly gentle doctor has arrived at the robot hospital. She has obtained a certificate as a senior mechanic at a young age. I heard that she is particularly gentle towards robots, and she is also a little celebrity in the 22nd century. Oh, Daixiong perfunctorily said, lacking interest. Suddenly, a noisy sound came from outside the window. Curious, Daixiong immediately forgot his 0-point exam paper and props and ran out the window to look downstairs. Hurry up. Handle it gently. We need to clean up both here and there. Mom, what is the neighbor doing? Daixiong ran downstairs and asked Yuzi's mother who was cooking. Oh, you said about the neighbor's house. They moved out today and it said that someone bought their house. After that, please ask Daixiong. By the way, the teacher just called and said, today's test results are coming down. Daixiong, how did you do on the test? Show me the test paper. It's okay, Mom, you. Daixiong heard the exam and was about to find an excuse to evade, but there was a knock outside the door. Dudu, who is it? Daixiong quickly ran over to open the door and saw a long-haired girl wearing long boots and strange clothes. Her long hair, draped over her shoulders, was jet black and translucent, with a straight bangs on her forehead. The end of the bangs was slightly curled up, as if reflecting starlight. Her eyes shone brightly, and her lips were slightly thin, with a light pink color, which was particularly suitable for the girl's slightly reddish face. While Daixiong was in a daze and unsure of how to react, the girl leaned forward and whispered, "Hello, I am a new resident from next door. My surname is Xianyuan and my name is Xianyuan Yilin. Please give me more guidance in the future." Chapter 2. Visits and Enrollment of Neighbor Girls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hello, you. My name is Nobita, please give me more guidance. Nobita replied with a slight stutter as his brain restarted after hearing the sound of a clear spring passing through the gap. Don't be so loud, Happy Christmas Eve, Daixiong. This is a gift. Irene said as she took out 2 boxes from her handbag, one big and one small. The small box belongs to Lord Daixiong, and the big box is for Uncle and Aunt. Aunt, hello. While Irene was chatting with Daixiong, Yuzi's mother and Lan Pengzi came out one after another. It's a blue civet cat. Hello, so cute. Irene suddenly made a sarcastic remark when she saw the childhood god. Asterisk, I'm a cat-like robot. It's not a blue civet cat. But. Forget it, I'll forgive you this time. Blue Fatty was accurately struck by Irene's blue civet cat, but seeing that the other person is a cute girl and may not have seen robots from the 22nd century, he chose to forgive. Hello, my name is Doraemon. You're cute, you're reasonable. Hello, Doraemon. In a symbolic greeting, Irene, who was actually happy in her heart, took another box from her bag. Oh, I didn't prepare a gift for Doraemon in advance. I wonder if the robot can eat desserts. This box contains a customized version of the oversized copper gong show, specially made by a master at a fruit shop. It costs 2,000 yen per piece, totaling 2 pieces. I only have this customized dim sum here. Let's give Dora sauce as a Christmas gift. Happy Christmas Eve, can I really take it? Doraemon's eyes turned into hearts after hearing the customized dim sum. If it was an animation, it must have started to emit pink bubbles behind him now. The unpleasant thought in my heart disappeared without a trace in an instant. Yes, I am the new neighbor next door. Please ask Auntie Doraemon to give me some advice, Irene politely introduced herself again. Roar. How could you two accept someone else's things casually, really? At this point, it was finally Yuzi's mother speaking time. Thank them quickly. Oh, Ellen Sauce, why are you still bringing so many gifts to visit? How embarrassing. It's okay, Auntie. Today happens to be Christmas, so it's not appropriate to bring some gifts to visit. Merry Christmas, Eileen Sauce, come in and have a cup of tea before you leave. Yuzi invited. Then I'm not polite, sorry to bother you. Finally, Irene was pulled by Yuzi to have a meal and left with 2 bottles of oolong tea and some lamb soup as gifts. Let me tell you, Ellen Sauce, Doraemon, he's a robot from the future. His treasure bag contains various magical items. After dinner, Doraemon and Daixiong saw that it was still early, so they invited Irene to play in the room. Daixiong was now slightly proud to introduce his high-tech partner Doraemon to Irene. Actually, it's nothing else. Doraemon wore a proud expression that even discerning people could see on the surface of modesty. It's not really that big of a deal, most of it's from the second-hand market, and just now my mom almost caught me testing my paper. Didi, your bad friend Daixiong goes online. Dee, what are you saying? Daixiong, you want to fight, don't you? Blue Fatty saw that Daixiong didn't give himself face, his face turned red, and steam came out of his head. Alright, don't argue, okay. Irene Sauce quickly froze up and became a mediator. For the sake of Irene's face, I won't argue with you today. Let me introduce myself again. I am the head of the recycling department and mechanical maintenance engineer from a future department store in the 22nd century. Oh. Hey. The two of them were in sync and spoke in the same voice. It's impossible, isn't it? It's true. Doraemon, come over and lie down. You didn't go to the hospital for a check-up yesterday, did you? She said as she took out the mechanic's tool kit from her square prop pocket and casually threw her work permit to Doraemon. It's true. It turns out that Irene Sauce is a genius girl that has been circulating in Japan recently in the 22nd century, Doraemon exclaimed in shock. No, it's all about adults promoting it without authorization, Irene said as she pulled over the blue chubby guy across from him and conducted a comprehensive maintenance and SPA on his equipment. Okay. At this moment, Daixiong was a little envious that Doraemon could be held by such a lovely girl for a full-body examination. The air in the room suddenly had a sour smell. 1 hour later, alright, get up, Irene said to Blue Fatty, it's already okay. I feel like my bones are all crispy. A chubby blue man was resting comfortably on Irene's thigh at this moment. Thank you, Irene Sauce. Irene's knee pillow is also very comfortable. Wavy dash, I don't even remember W, but he still sat up and helped Eileen retrieve various instruments into her 4-dimensional prop storage bag, while at this time, a certain great hero had already fallen asleep on the tatami beside him due to a long wait. I'm so tired, it's getting late too. I should say goodbye, see you tomorrow. Irene quietly stood up and helped Daixiong cover himself, while bidding farewell to Doraemon and walking downstairs. Come and play often when you have free time. Anyway, it's convenient to be next door. Yuzi's mother smiled and waved goodbye to her. Okay, Aunt, of course you have to come often. My male god is here, number 39, the next day, in the classroom of Class 3, Grade 5, Yuejian Tai Primary School. Let me tell you, yesterday a very lovely girl came to my neighbor's house, from the future. Daixiong said to his future daughter. La Jing Xiang Jiang, Daixiong, what are you whispering? What interesting things do you have to tell us too? A malicious voice came from behind him. Ah, it's Penghu and Xiaofu. Let me tell you, yesterday we had a new neighbor next door who was a very cute girl. Daixiong repeated to them when he saw Penghu and Xiaofu also coming to school. Really? Let's introduce ourselves to each other later. As soon as they heard about the lovely girl, Penghu and Xiaofu suddenly became energized. Okay. The three people who were not late here were chatting when they heard their classmate Ingzi, a chubby girl, say, the teacher is here. With Ingzi's words, a teacher wearing glasses, combing his hair in the middle of the class, with a dignified yet slightly harmonious and gentle demeanor, walked onto the podium. Good morning, classmates. Please be quiet. Today, I will introduce a new classmate to you. The teacher slowly explained to the classmates in the class, then turned to them and said outside the classroom, Irene, come in. As a girl slowly walked onto the podium, the boys and girls below were all in an uproar. Irene ignored the noisy environment and heard her gentle voice in the classroom. Hello everyone, I am a new transfer student named Xianyuan Irene. Please give me more guidance. Chapter 3. Daxiong Paradise and the Neighbor Girl. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Irene is already very cute, and she has changed her future attire to a yellow short skirt, white stockings, and small cloth shoes, giving people a feeling of wanting to protect her neighbor sister. The children naturally welcomed such a lovely female classmate. After the self-introduction, the teacher explained the progress of the course and asked student Kishan to take good care of Eileen as the semester was almost over. Irene gave Christmas gifts to the whole class and won a warm welcome from these elementary school students. 1.5 months later, school is in the winter vacation period. Irene gets along very well with all her classmates with her cute appearance, outgoing personality, and helpful qualities. I don't know why they found out that 1/3 of the reason is because they would think after redeeming points. Perhaps some people would think that this fairy is hypocritical and inconsistent, right? Irene thought so. In her past life, she worked hard to earn money to support some impoverished students, but there were still some white-eyed wolves among them. Fortunately, it is easy to tell the emotions of elementary school students. Most of the time, their temper is written on their faces, and because they are young, there is still a chance that they can straighten the crooked neck tree, moreover, although the past life may not be certain, this child is intended for a child in a childlike fantasy world. No matter how bad it is, it should not go anywhere. It's already 200 points, learning 2 skills. Irene Jiang lay in bed and opened the gold finger that the unscrupulous worker deity gave her. The points redemption page. There are a series of skills that make people salivate at first glance, such as mechanical design and manufacturing, proficiency in basic martial arts, physical endurance, and proficiency in baking, but I only have 200 points, so I can only choose 2. After careful consideration, she ultimately chose mechanical design, manufacturing, engineers, and physical limits. Irene. The physical strength of this palace cannot be inferior to the boys' humming system. I chose a mechanical design and manufacturing engineer because it complements my previous major, and mechanical design and manufacturing also include some basic programming. So it seems that there is still some intention of earning money. Irene. Clever as I am JPG. After selecting her skills, Irene immediately went to her desk to write down the knowledge and understanding that had come to her mind for consolidation and reinforcement of her memory. After all, I don't know where this knowledge comes from, and what outsiders give is ultimately not as good as what I learn and understand on my own. I really found myself a free professional course teacher. Irene started the fairy fart mode. After a while of hustle and bustle, I went out for a walk. Strolling to the open space, I found that it was piled up with building materials. At the corner of the intersection, I saw Kawaii's blue chubby Doraemon and his old partner Daxiong discussing something with several classmates. Before they could get close, they spotted themselves and surrounded them with an excited expression. Shizuka. Irene, you're here at the right time. We're just going to play at Daxiong's house. Hanghu looked foolish and said, let's play with Irina too. Daixiong said he and Doraemon had some Daixiong amusement park at home. Hey, Daixiong, if it weren't for me, I wouldn't have spared you. Xiaofu agreed, with a hint of anger. Panhu is right, Daixiong. It's best if you say the truth. Daixiong looked speechless and said, you two really can't go. Then he invited Irene and said, actually, it's a mini-town created by Doraemon and me with props. Irene, do you want to come? At Doraemon sincerely invited, let's play with Irina too. Irene recalled that there was indeed such an event in the unit play, and then asked, was it achieved using a mini-model camera and the Gulliver Tunnel? Blue chubby guy and Big Xiong looked shocked and said, how does Irina know? Irene smiled and remained silent. This fairy has read the script, so now the open space is filled with building materials, you should have arranged it in your home courtyard, right? Irene naturally asked the question. The two of them spoke in unison, yes. Daixiong/Doraemon. Irene sauce is so smart, so, Doraemon, why don't you just use the reverse world to enter the oil or mirror world? Irene once again made a logical suggestion. I have also thought about it, but a few days ago, I sent the mirror world props and reverse world back to the 22nd century for warranty, and now I don't have T to the power of T in my hand, Doraemon cried. So, I have a suggestion. How about moving the scene you set up to my house? Irene said to Doraemon, if my aunt comes out to clean the yard and finds out that you have put a bunch of models in the yard, she will be scolded, right? Irene sauce reasonable spoiler, 3, Daixiong suddenly said, there is indeed such a possibility. Doraemon. Yes, how could I not have thought of it? Irene is so smart, oh. The three of them bid farewell to their buddies and returned home first. Irene took out a space mobile pen and moved the town model to her own courtyard. Doraemon was responsible for placing the Gulliver Tunnel, while Nobita was responsible for notifying his future wife and chubby tiger husband. Why don't you go and call out Yuki Sugiyama as well? Irene asked one of the most curious questions she had when she was watching anime in her past life. What's calling that bookworm over for? It's interesting, isn't it? Daixiong's vinegar jar overturned. Daixiong has always harbored a certain degree of jealousy and hostility towards his rival in love. Daxiong Jun, jealousy is not a quality that a man should possess, Irene advised him. Daixiong. Draw a circle to curse you JPG soon. Shizuka and her group arrived, and Irene asked the same question again. Shizuka sauce provided an answer to this, Yuki-shan, my classmate. We've invited him before, but every time we come to his house, either he's busy with his studies or he's about to attend a tutoring class, so over time, we don't bother him with his studies. Sauce purple. I understand. So everyone, prepare to cross the Gulliver Tunnel, Irene said. The protagonist group of 5, Irene, Ingzi, Anxiong, Wolf and others gradually entered the tunnel and arrived at the small town. The names of Anxiongchuan and his companions appear in the positions of volume 17 to 19 of the manga. In the anime, they are referred to as Youth A and Youth B, but there are no specific names, so the manga is used. Interested students can refer to the materials themselves. Panhu was shocked and exclaimed, wow, oh, it's really true. Then he shouted out the famous quote that appeared n times in the animation. My friend of the soul. Then he stepped forward and hugged Daixiong and Doraemon tightly. Xiaofu and Shizuka couldn't hide their excitement. If it were anime, they would probably have become starry eyes by now. A few people shouted together, this is our city. At @0 then a few people worked together to create the less famous scene from the old version of the TV anime. A few people lined up, and then raised their right hands and snapped their fingers, taking big strides but very uniformly strolling on the arranged street. Irene seemed out of place here, smiling as she slowly followed behind the crowd, staring at the blue short-legged chubby guy holding up his sticky rice balls and snapping her fingers together, feeling that he was really cute. Everyone dispersed at the crossroads and played to their heart's content. Penghu and Xiaofu are competing for models in a toy store. Shizuka is trying various styles of clothes in a clothing store. Ingzi and Oho are reading the latest published comics in a bookstore. Doraemon was feasting on a copper gong in a fruit shop, while Irene sat beside her with a professional book called Mechanical Design, Manufacturing, and Automation, occasionally stealing a glance at the blue fatty who awakened the soul of the king of stomach. Anxiong and Chuanfu went to the video game city to play video games. Time was unconsciously pressed by everyone, and without the interference of Yuzi's mother, they played until sunset this time. The sunset stretched their shadows long, and in the evening, a group of young people held hands and walked through the Gulliver Tunnel again, going home for dinner. Perhaps the blue chubby guy didn't notice at the time. The girl holding his hand in the evening with red circles around her eyes. Chapter 4. Neighbor Girls and Command Guns. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. More than half a month has passed since the arrival of Daxiong Park. Today is a week after the winter vacation, and Daxiong's winter homework has not been touched at all. Every time Lan Pengzi urges him to do his homework, he always evades it with time. Science popularization that does not take up the word count of the main text. The approximate range of Japan's winter vacation time is from December 25 to January 6, with January 1 being Japan's Spring Festival. The holiday time varies slightly in different regions, but there is basically no significant change, with around 13.15 days. The spring vacation is from mid-March to early April, about 2 weeks. The summer vacation is longer, similar to China, usually about 6 weeks, with a range of approximately July 21 to September 1, and some collective activities will be arranged in the middle. As school started in just 5 days, Lan Pengzi became a bit anxious and started preaching, while there is still some time left, start doing homework. It's already January 1 today, and it's already Chinese New Year. Why are you in such a hurry, Doraemon? School starts on January 6, and besides, how can anyone do homework during the Spring Festival? Daixiong often evades and puts on a bad show. You always say that. You finished your homework today, didn't you have a good time playing in the next few days? Blue fatty. I can't stand you anymore. Alright, you forced me. Blue fatty couldn't bear it anymore as he gritted his teeth and pointed a gun at him from his pocket. I didn't want to do that, you go do your homework quickly. Don't be angry, Doraemon. Daixiong stood up from the tatami mat, but still spread his hand innocently. I will do my homework sooner or later. Doraemon's anger value exploded on the table, and he took out a bullet from his pocket to open it. He wrote a note and stuffed it into the shell case. Write it for me now. Then insert the bullet filled with a note into the pistol and pull the trigger at Daixiong. Daixiong felt like he had been hit by something and then leaned back on the ground with some exaggerated expression. Ah. I was shot. A few seconds later, Daixiong, who had nothing to say, patted his body to confirm that nothing was wrong and took a long breath of relief. What's going on? Even though nothing happened, Before he could finish speaking, Daixiong's body moved on its own and sat at his desk, writing vigorously. What's going on? How could I move on my own? I resisted while writing vigorously. This is the command gun. Write down the requirement on the paper to insert it into the bullet and shoot it out. The person who is hit must complete the task set on the paper. Doraemon looked proud and quickly wrote down the requirement to accelerate the completion of homework, stuffing it into the bullet and giving Daixiong another shot. I was shot. Daixiong's body trembled, and then he accelerated his speed again as if he had been equipped with an electric small motor. Complete the task in just 20 minutes. Done. Daixiong bounced up from his chair before and collapsed to the ground in an instant. Why do you feel so tired? Naha, Doraemon just now, lend me the command gun. After resting for a while, Daixiong began to play coquettishly and playfully on a daily basis. No way, every time I lend props to Daixiong, it's definitely not a good thing, said a certain blue fat man firmly. Daixiong. What? I'll just play with it and make sure nothing happens. Is that okay? I'll buy you a copper gong barbecue to eat, asterisk, no need, thank you. I still have some leftover customized version of the copper gong shao that Irene Sauce gave me last time. Daixiong used sugar-coated cannon bullet on Doraemon, but the effect was average. Doraemon used mo lai lao z on Daixiong, and the effect was outstanding. Another 20 minutes later, Daixiong completely conquered the soft-hearted Doraemon through hard and soft tactics. After receiving the command gun, Daixiong came up with a plan and wrote something on the note. After loading the ammunition, he smiled maliciously and said, Doraemon, what are you doing? Doraemon suddenly felt a chill in her back, as if she could see the big word danger, on her head. She was about to get up and dodge. Bayou, as is well known, after receiving the gun, Daixiong can be said to be possessed by a gun god, asterisk, I was shot. I'll give that gun to Daixiong. What? Lon Pengzi looked confused and then reacted, no, that gun. He was about to say something, but he said the wrong thing when he spoke. Doraemon. Daixiong boasted with a surprised expression and said, what, Doraemon, you said you want to give me this gun. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. For all, then he ran out with a proud expression to play. At this moment, next door to the Nobi family, Irene Jiang just took a time machine back to visit her cheap parents and accompanied them back for the new year. Having been in this world for over 4 months, Irene finally confirmed 2 things after repeated confirmation. No matter how mysterious the timeline of this world may be, time corresponds 1. To point 1. For example, today is the Spring Festival, and the future of the 22nd century is also the Spring Festival. There may be 4 different seasons in a week. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It may be March today and April tomorrow, but the date and cycle remain the same. If today is Monday, then tomorrow will definitely be Tuesday. If today is the 1st, then tomorrow will definitely be the 2nd. The memories of the people living here are coherent, and there will be no memory gaps or information gaps that span too much due to dates and seasons. Amazing, truly a magical childlike anime. Is this world a fusion of all unit dramas and theatrical versions? Irene is a bit speechless, but at least the timeline of the world of learning is more complete and orderly, which may also be good news. Organize your tools and 4-dimensional prop pockets, and just as you were about to leave, you were hit hard by the protagonist of the decay god, Daixiong. Then she saw Daixiong apologizing to herself without looking back. I'm sorry, Hyland Sauce, I have an urgent matter. Hard fists, dish hashtag. Before she could even have a fit, she saw the adorable childhood male god. Doraemon was stumbling and chasing Daixiong, muttering, I'll give that gun to Daixiong. I'll give that gun to Daixiong. Irene Jiang, who was unaware of the situation, looked silly and cute. Degree, so in order to figure out the situation, she took 2 small runs and grabbed Doraemon, asking, what's going on, Doraemon? What's going on, Doraemon? Doraemon. Lon Xiaopengdan seemed to have seen a savior and came to Irene Sauce. I saw Doraemon's face turn red with suppressed expression. After a long time, I finally tried my best and said a complete sentence. Daixiong, hold the command gun. Although I forgot which episode the command gun appeared in, there is a product catalog in the Future department store. It is a special teaching and experimental tool in the Future school, and a prop invented to make disobedient children obediently do homework and some special experiments. Got it, wait for me. Although I forgot which episode it was probably a routine operation. Asking for props from Doraemon and then going out to cause trouble. Irene took out a small bead from her bag, held it in her hand, and snapped her fingers. Okay, it's okay. Thank you, Irene Sauce, wavy dash, you're welcome, just give me the high-risk items like your hotline gun, earth destruction bomb, small portable nuclear bomb, and so on. Hey. Those are all very dangerous props, no. Doraemon couldn't agree when she heard that Irene needed such dangerous props. Don't underestimate me, I'm the head of the props recycling department. Besides, that's not a prop that a domestic and parenting robot should have. Irene reminded kindly a domestic robot is almost even more dangerous than a strategic weapon, yet it's still okay to say that Doraemon quickly realized, how did Irene know I had those things? Of course I know from the script Omega, of course, Irene was just thinking in her heart and couldn't say anything, so she spoke up, of course, it was an employee of a 22nd century department store who told me. How could you go to the second-hand market to buy such dangerous things? Alright, I promise we won't buy such dangerous things again. Let's go find Daixiong quickly. Doraemon quickly threw all the second-hand hot weapons from her pocket to Irene Sauce. Irene was thrown into a recycling furnace and decomposed to obtain a hot wire gun barrel, a PEW-509 special alloy steel shell, a controllable nuclear fusion device, highly concentrated liquid explosives, and placed in a special storage box. Then the two lifted the bitter Yuzi mother who was pulling grass in the courtyard. In the park, I found a young man who looked embarrassed but tried hard to hit the chubby tiger, and a chubby tiger who was crying but very angry. Are you two okay? Irene asked. Thank you, Irene Sauce. Panghu and Xiaofu quickly waved their hands to indicate that they were okay, and then turned their heads to fiercely say to Daixiong from behind the shrub, Daixiong. Superscript 3AE Irene gave each of Big Tiger and Little Husband the same bead as before and told them how to use this prop, so Big Xiong quickly realized that the command gun was not working. Daixiong. Then the three of them began a happy chase game. Perhaps. Humph, it's not good to apologize seriously for causing you to bump into someone, don't be so reckless in the future, Irene shouted to Daixiong who was running wildly. Chapter 5. Great Floods times Noah's Ark times Neighbor Girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today is the 4th, with only one day left until the start of school. Irene's mood today is not very beautiful. 2 days ago when she was teaching Doraemon a lesson to Daixiong, she decomposed and recycled a batch of resources, and then took time last night to return to the 22nd century. We put the unused and decomposed materials into the material warehouse of the future department store, and then used controllable nuclear fusion devices, PW-509 special alloy steel shells, hot wire gun barrels and other materials, as well as ultra-precision micron-level circuit boards taken out at home, to create an efficient and high-power portable nuclear power generator. High-concentration liquid explosives extracted from second-hand earth destruction bombs and portable nuclear warheads were decomposed into mechanical grenades. Speaking of which, it is truly the so-called golden finger given by the gods. This mechanical designer even includes some high-tech weapons, number 39, winky face. When I returned to this side after finishing these tasks, it was already evening. In order to avoid the chain reaction caused by the time paradox, I did not use the time machine to go back to earlier time. After all, Irene Sauce doesn't have the causal weapons and protagonist buffs like Doraemon's bunch of bugs. After returning, it was already 2 o'clock in the morning, and he fell asleep on the bed. However, at 8 o'clock in the morning, he heard 2 living creatures next door arguing about something. Forget it, for the sake of Blue Chubby Guy's face, let's not worry about it anymore. This palace still needs to maintain its image as a lady, well, although the collapse of character designs seems to have happened more than once or twice, after all, previous novel authors have said that character designs are meant to collapse, after sitting in bed and wandering around for a while, wake up after Irene finished washing up, she wanted to go and see what the 2 living creatures next door were doing. Arriving at the next door, I heard the sound of a chainsaw and various sounds of knocking on wooden boards. Following the sound, I arrived at the backyard of the Nobi family and saw Doraemon and Oho busy, with an automatic cutting machine and an automatic nailing machine. Cutting and assembling wooden boards there. This wave of operations has once again confused Irene, who couldn't remember the plot of the end.unit drama. Daxiong Jun, Doraemon, what are you doing? He asked in a voice just as she finished speaking. Doraemon pulled her aside and nervously said to her, Irene sauce, sure I'll tell you, there's a big flood that will flood Japan tonight at 12 o'clock. B. Irene sauce. Sigma Chuan, hey. Really? Irene also became nervous as she watched Doraemon's serious expression. Really? Daxiong saw it with his predicted future eye this morning, and I checked it with a prop detector and found that the prop was not damaged. But my parents didn't want to build Noah's Ark with us and refused to board the ship. They even thought that Daxiong and I were playing around. Doraemon shrugged her nose and invited, Irene, do you want to board the ship? Your friend Doraemon has sent you a team invitation. Doraemon's pitiful expression and very serious words suddenly made our classmate Irene want to laugh. Through Lan Pengzi's speech, she suddenly remembered that this was a plot that was common in both the Mountain and Patty versions. The flood was actually a dream that Daxiong had in bed when he overslept and forgot to wake up in the middle of the night. But when I think of these two living creatures, I really think that if there is a big flood, their heart to save their family and friends is sincere and enthusiastic. Alright, sorry to bother you. So Irene agreed to Doraemon's team invitation and added, let me help too, number 39, ha ha ha, alright, with the help of Irene sauce, our progress will be faster, equals carrot smiley face. Doraemon was very happy, and finally someone believed their words, carrot oh carrot, hey, have you two finished talking? I'm so busy, come and help me quickly, Doraemon, T.T. Daxiong's mournful voice came from the side. I'm here, I'm sorry, Daxiong. By the way, Irina will also help us build the Ark together, Doraemon said with a hint of apology in her tone. Ah, it's okay, there's something unexpected. Irina will believe our words. Great. Asterisk, then he said to Eileen, thank you for Eileen's sauce. Can you please go to the refrigerator in the kitchen and get some food? Good Daxiong, Irene smiled back at her. 3:00 p.m., due to the addition of Irene, the three of them completed the workload that was originally supposed to be completed at 5:30 p.m. 2 hours ahead of schedule. After all, Irene sauce is a little rich woman. She also has a 4-dimensional treasure bag, and the props inside are much better than the second-hand warranty goods of little Doraemon. Irene sauce. Although this girl doesn't have a causal weapon like bug prop and a protagonist buff that can avoid the influence of time paradox, other, conventional, props can still be present in the system. Irene used a material converter to turn the hull of the ship into metal, which made the two protagonists exclaim to their experts. Irene. Basic operation not 6, ***. Then the three of them entered the cabin with food, and Irene took out the portable nuclear power generator she had made yesterday in the 22nd Century Department Store product laboratory. When the two learned that it was a generator made from second-hand props recycled from Doraemon as materials, Doraemon and Oho. Daxiong. Irene sauce is so amazing. A certain blue chubby guy had already turned into a starry eye and asked in a worshipful tone, Irene sauce, how did you make it? You could have applied for an invention patent in the 22nd century. At this moment, Irene began to feel a bit aloof, explaining the process to the two of them, and then put on a look of self-perceived coldness. Daxiong, who has been a scumbag for thousands of years, said he couldn't understand +_+ at all, but Irene sauce is so beautiful. Shizuka taking a bath in the bathroom at this moment. Azu. Did you catch a cold after soaking for too long? Irene sauce. I truly deserve it, with a proud expression on my face, Doraemon/Nobita. Irene sauce/Irene classmates are so cute. In the evening, Penghu and Xiaofu came over specifically, lying on the courtyard wall of Daxiong's house, smiling as they looked at each other. Doraemon and Daxiong saw the two of them coming over and thought they were coming to board the ship. They showed a generous expression and invited them to board the ship, but Penghu was the first to speak up. Wow, you two really got on a boat. There's a big flood. I'm really looking forward to it, isn't it, young man? *R, while his expression doesn't look as expected no matter what. Yeah, haha, if there really is a big flood today, I can just put on the imported advanced diving equipment that my cousin bought me. Xiaofu sent off field support to Penghu. You two are really enough. Daxiong Jun was almost furious. From the perspective of the effect, the mockery of Penghu and Xiaofu is simply remarkable. My props won't deceive anyone. Doraemon was also infuriated by the fat and thin duo, and this was the second time they had expressed distrust of their props today. What's wrong? A gentle female voice came from the cabin, which was Irene Sauce testing the effect of the generator on the stern keel. Ah, Yilinjiang is also here. Did Daixiong and the two of them deceive us? Sigma, winky face. Xiao Fu expressed surprise. How can you two lure the innocent and ignorant rejection of Irene Sauce? Fat Tiger expressed anger directly at this. Irene. I'm really sorry that I was deceived because I was innocent and didn't know how to refuse others' breath. Don't be angry, the character design given by the author cannot collapse. Author Mushroom. Did you break through the dimensional wall? Hello. Sigma Chuan, the young man persuaded. Irene, you don't really believe the lies of the two of them, do you? If there is really a big flood, how could the Meteorological Bureau and the Geological Bureau have no news at all? Ah, it's Xiaofu and Penghu classmates. It's okay, I believe Daxiong and Doraemon. If it's fake, it's okay. It's getting late, you two should go home quickly. _. Irene responded politely with a smile. Penghu and Xiaofu exchanged a glance. Then at the same time, he said, okay. However, the two of them have already decided to tell the whole class about what Daxiong did after the start of school. It is obvious that Alinza did not know how to refuse others, which led to Daxiong and Doraemon taking advantage of the situation at this moment. Daxiong and Lan Pengzi were deeply moved. Irene Sauce is really a very gentle person. Irene. I'm Dry Liao. Please don't make any strange assumptions about this matter. Hey. T. Then hurry over. 11 p.m., the two are already asleep. To be honest, the sleeping positions of Doraemon and Daxiong are really not good. Looking Irene Jiang helped the two cover their beds, quietly turned off Doraemon's timed alarm, and brought Daxiong a sleepwalking watch set to go to the bathroom on his own in half an hour. She left a note and left lightly. Irene walked out of her neighbor's door and looked up at the scattered stars and bright moon in the clear sky, which looked very beautiful, but only lacked some familiarity. Irene suddenly felt a bit dazed and forgot to walk, stopping at the entrance of a Japanese-style residential building with the words, "Leisurely Courtyard," written on it. Xiaoqing, a smile bloomed at the corner of her mouth. There's nothing else. Just a memory of an ancient text from a past life. May I ask if Lingnan is good? But Dao said. This place of peace in my heart is my hometown. Good night, my childhood. Chapter 6. The neighbor girl's decision to join the first step of daily life. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Irene, who returned to the room, lay sprawled on the bed, tossing and turning like a panda cub rolling on the ground. After careful consideration, she opened up an equivalent exchange space that had never been opened in months. Irene entered this equivalent exchange space for the first time after obtaining it, which is a subspace similar to the 4-dimensional treasure bag space, but slightly different. Unlike the tunnel of a time machine filled with time turbulence, nor like the cosmic turbulence filled with gamma rays and dark matter. All of them are arranged in a neat and orderly manner, with various written books, works, calligraphy, and paintings in various languages, covering the sky and earth. After waiting for a while, Irene saw no one around and tried to speak up about her demands. I want to go home. It's not the home from the 22nd century here, but the place of origin with a strong oriental red color. At present, all the costs you can pay are not enough to pay for breaking through the dimensional wall. There is no emotion, neither closeness, nor indifference, as if indifferent to anything, a voice with a sense of alienation slowly ripples out in the space. Ha! Really? Irene let out a sigh of relief, murmuring with a seriousness she had never even noticed. It seems to have noticed some truth, but also to have accepted a brand new life. Unlike her previous estrangement, melancholy, and hesitation, she decided to immerse herself in this slightly nonsensical science fiction world. On the other side, two big lazybones who slept until noon leisurely woke up. Good morning, both of you. It's true that the eyeball predicts what will happen in the future, but it also includes what happens in dreams. I hope Doraemon and Daixiong had a good sleep last night, so I'll take the prop and recycle it. See you tomorrow. I have watched it on the TV with the foresight, and it seems that Daixiongjuan's bedding is indeed flooded. Fortunately, none of this will happen. Please forgive me for advocating to turn off the alarm clock. Yesterday's Noah's Ark and the others were just like a large ship model, haha wavy dash, Daixiong. Alright now, I'm so embarrassed in front of Irene Sauce. It's all because Doraemon's props are unreliable. Doraemon felt her face turn uncomfortable. Wow, it's good that she didn't embarrass herself in front of Xiaomi. Fortunately, it was Eileen Jiang who boarded the ship in the end. Otherwise, those two people, Fatty Tiger and Xiaofu, would definitely be ridiculed. Then, with a very long reflex arc, Blue Fatty instinctively scolded Daixiong and said, "Are you okay to say that you didn't have to investigate it yourself first?" Dishes hashtag, even if you say that, I won't be able to investigate. I don't have a 4-dimensional pocket, he said, which made Daixiong angry. Doraemon. Omega, it seems like the air fell silent for a moment, and then the two of them began to pack their bedding and food separately. Finally, Doraemon stuffed the metal Noah's Ark into a treasure bag. The two of them who returned to the room were naturally taught a relay by their father and mother. Yuzi's mother said, "Let's just say there isn't a big flood, and we don't know what you two are thinking all day. And we don't know who you kids look like." Subset of, Daixiong knelt on the tatami mat, his head hanging down to his chest, daring not to make a big noise, obediently listening to the training. At this moment, Nobi Daisuke's veins were bulging beside his temples, and his face turned pale with anger. Doraemon, you are also such a worry-free child. How could you be fooling around with Daixiong this time? The phone has reached both the United Nations and the Ministry of Defense. Just now, the police officer said that you two committed the crime of disturbing public order. Because you are still young, you were only fined 2,000 yen. Dad was under house arrest for 2 days for neglecting discipline, which made it impossible for me to go to work today. Tax, Doraemon's special alloy body shell is constantly sweating, constantly telling his father that he won't do it next time. Yuzi and Daisuke finally agreed. You two have no dim sum and pocket money for the last week. Daixiong/Doraemon. P_T, Dudu, there was a knocking sound outside the door. The two quickly made excuses and ran to the entrance to open the door. Then, Xiong's father and mother looked at each other with a helpless smile and followed them out. Good afternoon, uncle and aunt. I'm here to find Daixiong to volunteer at the back mountain of the school. Irene politely greeted her and then greeted the two people who seemed to see a savior, saying, Doraemon, Daixiongjuan, let's go to the back mountain together. Then he added, I'm going to pick up trash, not to play. Go. Both of us go. Daixiong immediately agreed, and Doraemon nodded wildly. Compared to listening to their parents at home, the two of them think it's better to volunteer. Be careful on the way. Yuzi's mother thought twice and finally showed mercy and let go. She had a clear idea of how lazy her eldest son was, so she could go out and work. Afterwards, the three of them went to Shizuka's house together to call her. Alright, let's go, let's go. Shizuka rarely doesn't take a shower. Seeing Irene also present, she suggested to her, let's call out Yuki Tsujigami as well. After we finish our work, let's exchange our homework. Daxiong Jun's vinegar jar accidentally knocked over again, but just as he was about to erupt, he asked Doraemon to use glutinous rice balls, his hand, to pestle his mouth. Good, Irene said that she had no problem. Anyway, she had planned to call the whole class together. How about we go to my house to have a dim sum later? Alright. Let's disturb Irene's sauce for a moment. We've only been to the yard before and haven't officially visited you yet. Tamu Shimi, sorry, the author only knows Japanese for loose construction sites, greater than or equal to 0 less than or equal to. Daixiong saw two girls chatting passionately on the side, showing a resentful expression towards a poor blue civet cat and beginning to complain. Doraemon. Daxiong, you haven't passed away, have you? 9582. A few people walked forward laughing and talking, running around to tell each other. 30 people in the class, with 26 present. Quickly, all the classmates from the protagonist group who occasionally appeared in the original work were called out. P.S. No more than 10 names, *********. It was already around 3 p.m. when we arrived at the back mountain of the school. Among them, Panghu didn't come to help deliver the goods to his family's grocery store. Yuki Sujigami didn't come to the tutoring class even though he had to attend it. A pair of twin brothers who were not mentioned in the original work went to visit relatives with their parents but did not come. Everyone else has arrived, and from here we can see how much face our classmate Irene has gained. Seeing everyone gathered, Irene clapped her hands and gestured for everyone to look towards her. Thank you all for your hard work. Today, I would like to ask all of you to help clean up the garbage in the back mountain of the school. After that, I will treat everyone to dinner. Good. The students were enthusiastic, and this was Irene's first time asking everyone for help. Usually, she has helped everyone a lot, and it is appropriate for her to repay her kindness once. Moreover, Irene even invited them to dinner, greater than or equal to. Less than or equal to. Irene took out the destruction and recycling furnace and the compost manufacturing machine and said to them, please sort the collected garbage, then put the garbage other than kitchen waste into the furnace according to the type, and then throw the kitchen waste into the nearby machine. You can also pick up some leaves and branches. Irene began to arrange tasks one by one, and the first step in integrating into this world was to clean up the back mountain that was mocked as a space center airport and a transit station in another world. In her past life, Irene is full of confidence in herself. Chapter 7. The first step for neighbor girls to participate in daily activities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, everyone follows Irene's arrangement and does their work step by step. Irene came to Doraemon's side at this moment and whispered to him, Doraemon, lend me the delicious tablecloth to use. Carrot. Alright, no problem, == smiley face. Daxiong Jun and I also want to thank Irene sauce, Doraemon said. Thank you for trusting me, and thank you too, about Noah's Arkansas. Speaking, Lan Pengzi glanced at Daixiong, who was talking to his future wife, first. It's okay, it's natural for friends to help each other, greater than or equal to omega less than over equal to, / Irene curved her eyebrows and eyes, showing a habitual smile but seeming to be more agile. Irene sauce, you seem different from before, came from the confusion of Blue Fatty. Do you have it, where? Maybe it's my illusion. Doraemon touched her head with a sticky rice ball-like hand, her tone becoming more uncertain. Irene. Oh, the cute old man has a bloody face. Omega, Shizuka sauce, let's go pick up the garbage over there. Daixiong, who was brushing his Shizuka favor on the downhill slope, didn't notice the conversation going up the slope and pointed to a place on the mountain. Shizuka sauce, holding a garbage bag, glanced at Daixiong in confusion and replied, okay. She looked at the place he pointed out and asked, are you sure we're going over there to pick up the garbage? Of course. As expected, Daixiong followed Jing Xiang's gaze and replied without hesitation, but choked up as soon as he spoke. I saw a cut in the area where Daixiong had just pointed out. In the valley, which was 5 or 6 meters deep, there were scattered specks of colorful garbage. It was vaguely recognizable that they were various plastic packaging bags, rotten apples, disposable fast food boxes, and chopsticks. The clearest sight among them is still a hidden red hiking boot hanging on a withered branch about 2 meters away. It is unknown which unlucky person dropped something and hung on this poor little branch. Dried branch. In the end, I have withstood the pressure that I shouldn't have at this age. Of course not, it's too dangerous. Let's go to the cave halfway up the mountain. Daixiong immediately gave a peak-like loop of extreme tugs and changed his words abruptly. Shizuka. Shizuka was speechless for a moment, but it was also difficult to refute Daxiong Jun's face and make him sad. Therefore, in the end, she could only look at Daxiong with a strange expression, and with a hint of helplessness, she drifted back to him and said, Okay. Daixiong's expression was disheveled in the wind. 39 Winky face. Number 39, it's too difficult for me. I didn't get a good impression of Shizuka sauce, and I also lost face in front of her regardless of the future situation for the couple here. Irene, with everyone's joint efforts, harvested 50 pounds of organic fertilizer, 5 pounds of metal, and 20 pounds of synthetic wood boards produced by the decomposition fertilizer manufacturing machine after swallowing dead branches, rotten leaves, and various kitchen waste. Of course, there is also over 30 pounds of recyclable toxic waste filtered out by machines. But overall, I have gained quite a lot. Irene and Doraemon also discovered the deep stream. Irene said to everyone, "Let me go pick it up. Everyone has been working hard today, so I'll take a break during this time and come to my house for dinner later. Hehe, I can also take the opportunity to test the physical limit buff I obtained earlier. I am such a clever little ghost, asterisk caret caret asterisk." Unexpectedly, the next second, the whole class collectively refused. "No, it's too dangerous, Irene sauce." Irene said to them, "Actually, I'm quite impressive. Classmates. Believe you a ghost, where can you be so powerful as a weak, pitiful, and easy to deceive little girl?" The young man, who was fishing on the side all the way, came out and said, "Irene, you're not lying anymore. Your grades in last semester's sports comprehensive test were just above average." Shizuka stood up and suggested to her, "Why don't we invite adults to clean up tomorrow?" Upon seeing the skeptical expressions on her classmates' faces, Irene said, "Although, can I say that during the sports comprehensive test, I still haven't received the buff given by the gods. Doraemon, come and help me." Seeing that everyone didn't believe me, Irene could only force her to take action against everyone's protective gaze. She took out a safety bungee jump rope from her fourth-dimensional pocket, tied a knot around her waist, and then handed the other end to the silly Doraemon on the side, saying, "Help me pull the rope." Angle, that. Irene sauce, I think everyone is right. Doraemon said, "Otherwise, I'll put on the bamboo dragonfly and go down to pick it up, so don't go. Believe me, okay? Don't worry, there won't be anything wrong." Irene gave him a reassuring look. Okay. Finally, Doraemon, who was soft-hearted, agreed. With his support, nothing big should happen. Hehe, thank you, Doraemon. See, Irene jumped down with 3 or 4 large garbage bags and directly picked off the dead branches 2 meters away, along with the hidden red hiking boots, and placed them in the garbage bag. She spins and jumps back and forth between the mountain streams, like a Tibetan antelope cub galloping on a cliff. At first, the classmates thought Irene would get tired soon, but half an hour later, her speed still didn't decrease. So, the expressions of the students changed a bit faster than those of Sichuan opera at the beginning. Oh, later. Winky face. Finally. Sigma, Sigma. Daixiong stared at the dog and stared for half a day, talking. Shizuka's 2 eyes glow. Xiaofu. How impressive, it's a pity that fat tiger didn't come. Irene sauce looks good on my face. Then, thinking of something, he added, Irene sauce's strength may be a little stronger than fat tiger. Doraemon. If Irina participated in a rock climbing competition, she would definitely win a world championship. Another hour later, as the sky darkened, Irene finally carried 3 large bags of garbage that were packed full and pulled up by her classmates. At this moment, Irene is worried that she may be mistaken by everyone for Kong Barbie subset of. But it has to be said that the physical limit has developed all the functions of her body to the limit of human beings. Based on her best state during the final sports comprehensive test, she climbed back and forth for an hour, and surprisingly felt like she could have another hour. Well, it's really fragrant. The classmates gathered around, and Shizuka Sauce took out a handkerchief to wipe the sweat beads hanging on Irene Sauce's face. Her eyes lit up as she stared at the treasure girl in front of her. People are beautiful, outgoing and generous, understanding, and willing to help others. Now we need to add someone who can be good. Irene Sauce. Is it true that they are being treated like Kong Barbie by everyone? Omega, Shizuka broke the brief vacuum in the crowd. She approached and gently clasped Irene's hand with both hands, asking with a slightly serious tone, "Xianyuan classmate, how many secrets do you have that everyone doesn't know?" Irene suddenly stopped breathing. I have read the script and was forcibly hung by an irresponsible deity. Did Shizuka Sauce know that it was a matter of reincarnation? That's amazing, teach us. Red Heart. Oh, see, Irene. I overthought it. At this moment, a group of male classmates finally came to their senses from shock and admiration. Daixiong, Xiaofu, and Xiong, and others helped to pick up those large bags of garbage and throw them into the machine. Then, with Irene's command, the students quickly tidied up the scene and, like wild horses running free, rushed to Irene's home next to Daixiong at their fastest speed during a 100-meter sprint. The paper door was smashed. Why? Irene first took out 2 of the largest synthetic wooden boards from today's recycling, cut them into firewood, and then stacked them to light. The bonfire was completed. Doraemon and Irene Sauce began to divide their work and cooperate, with Blue Little Fatty Dun responsible for ordering food using the tablecloth, and Irene responsible for serving the dishes. Later, Daxiong, Jingxiang and Xiaofu came to help. When she was free, Yilin went to make some Chinese dim sum. Pear cake, Oldager, glutinous rice rolls with sweet bean flour, peach cake, it's so delicious. Mahavira and Blue Fatty looked intoxicated, as if they were wandering in the world of dim sum. Jingxiang Jam has become a good friend and little fangirl. She asked Yilin, "Yilin Jam. This dim sum is made by you, right? Can you teach me how to make it? It seems that you can't buy it in the fruit shop." For all asterisk, okay. After the banquet, Irene watched as the last classmate was dragged home by the parents who came to search for their child. Then she turned to Daxiong and Doraemon and said, "Thank you Daxiong and Doraemon, it's getting late, see you tomorrow." Well, we also had a good time. Dim sum is very delicious. Thank you for your hospitality, they said. Daixiong even licked the corner of his lips, looking as if he was still unsatisfied. Irene replied, "As long as you two like it." As we were speaking, finally the fat tiger who had delivered all the goods arrived. Irene handed the dim sum reserved in advance to the late Penghu, joking. "The dim sum is cold, and it's not delicious when it was first baked." "Sorry, it's okay, thank you Irene Sauce." The girl watched as the 3 of them frolicked for a while before leaving behind, tugging at the corners of her lips and laughing naturally and gently. Perhaps it's not much different from before, it's just that the smile has lost a bit of the unchanging stiffness and alienation. The afterglow of the sunset shone on the young girl in front of her, complementing the sunset and forming a unique picture with the smile on her face. Chapter 8 Transition Chapter. Tripping Robots and the Misfortune of Daixiong in Daily Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On January 6, the clear sky covered thousands of miles, and the sunlight scattered freely on the earth. Well, it's a good day for the start of school. Wavy dash. Irene arrived at the classroom first, and today she rarely wore a sailor suit that didn't match her hairstyle. Next time, it's better to wear work clothes. Not afraid of getting dirty, convenient for work. The students arrived at the classroom one by one, but never saw the protagonist's trio. I wonder if they were late again today. Finally, when the class bell rang, Xiaofu and Penghu rushed into the classroom one after another, but only you, Daxiong, could not be seen. The teacher walked slowly into the classroom and began a brief and serious speech for the new semester. Classmates, we should also work hard and study hard this semester. Picking up the teacup and taking a sip, then the conversation changed. So before officially starting learning, let's first check how well everyone did their holiday homework. At this moment, a loud and untimely report rang out in the relatively quiet classroom. Daxiong finally arrived late at this moment, already 2 minutes late, with some bruises on his legs, indicating that he had been knocked down by someone. Daxiong. The teacher glared at Daxiong standing at the door, with a look of anger on his face as his speech was interrupted by an unexpected interruption. I'm late on the first day of school. Bring 2 buckets and go to the door to punish me. Teacher. Daxiong was about to explain when he noticed that the chubby tiger and the young man below were giggling. Why, as a result, Daxiong, who was already in a bad mood, was instantly ignited like a powder keg. You two are still laughing. If it weren't for Fat Tiger knocking me down, I wouldn't have been late. Enough. The teacher, who was left hanging on the side, was also completely angry. Daxiong, if you're late, don't shift the blame. You can get up early next time and arrive at school on time. I'm about to check my winter vacation homework first, Daxiong. Let's start with you. Bring back your homework and I'll check it. Reply. Daxiong honestly took out the homework that Doraemon had previously forced him to write with a command gun pointing at his head. It's rare that Daxiongjuan's homework has been done well, although the accuracy needs to be improved. In that case, you don't have to carry a bucket. The teacher's mood has improved a lot. Daxiong. What words this is. I usually. Okay. I don't seem to finish my vacation homework a few times. Daxiongjuan, who originally intended to refute, thought for a while and found that it was indeed the case, /_, so he gave up. At this moment, he suddenly felt extremely fortunate to have finished his homework ahead of schedule. So, Yuki Sugi, please check everyone else's homework. Let's arrange the usual big cleaning after the entrance ceremony first. The teacher made arrangements and said, Fatty Tiger, Xiaofu is responsible for the floor of the corridor outside the classroom, Daxiong, Yuki Sugi is responsible for the classroom floor, Waffle and Anxiong are responsible for the wall tiles, Ingzi is responsible for the blackboard and desk, Irene and Shizuka are responsible for the doors and windows glass. The other students work in groups of 3, responsible for cleaning cobwebs and corners, or some small debris behind the shoe cabinet. Irene and Shizuka quickly cleaned the windows and doors and began helping other students complete the cleaning as soon as possible. At 5 p.m. in the morning, Daxiong, who was tripped by Fat Tiger, finally returned home with his backpack after finishing his baseball club training in game. Doraemon. Daxiong cried while holding on to the chubby blue man as his tear glands secreted excessively in his daily life. If it weren't for the chubby tiger tripping me, I wouldn't have been late this morning. Sigh. I got it. Doraemon bought many freshly baked special prices of gong xiao in the store today, feeling good. He dug out his pocket and took out a small robot wearing a suit with a black-brimmed hat, holding a small pistol in his hand and a coin slot on his back. His expression was cool and he said, Qiang tripping robot, just throw a 10 yuan coin in and say the name of the person you want to trip to the tripping robot, and he will indeed trip the other person 3 times. Doraemon explained passionately on a daily basis. We don't know who made such a targeted and boring prop. Is he really useful at such a young age? Daxiong felt a little uneasy. Then you can try and see, *. Doraemon held the gong and burned his ears, ignoring the world's affairs, even though he had no ears. Daxiong took out a 10 yuan coin and threw it in, go and trip the fat tiger. Then the little robot gave a cool smile and jumped out of Daxiong's hand, heading straight for Fat Tiger. Upon seeing this, Daixiong quickly followed suit until he saw Pang Hu stumbling and looking for his mother. On the third attempt, he collapsed and fainted. OK !***. Daixiong ran to the side and collected the props, jumping with joy as he was about to turn around and go home. But I didn't expect this scene to be seen by the young man. He pulled a hemp rope and the nervous Nobita tripped over. Xiao Fu got the tripped robot, made a face at Daixiong, and quickly ran forward. Xiao Fu, stop. Daixiong stumbled up and chased Xiao Fu into the alley. After a long time, he finally caught up with the young man and retrieved the props. Damn it, young man, please wait for me to see. Dish #. Daixiong gritted his teeth and threw in another 10 yuan. Just as he was about to speak, he heard a slightly gentle female voice from across the street. Daixiong, what are you doing here? As soon as I looked up, I saw Shizuka standing across from me with a puzzled expression, holding a violin in her hand, probably having just taken a violin class. Daixiong was instantly flustered, but he saw that the tripped robot had already started, and the smile on his face made him feel like he was falling into an ice cave. It's not me, you made a mistake, but the tripped robot has received instructions and will not stop unless tripped 3 times. Helpless, Daixiong could only run quickly towards home to avoid the special light that occasionally shone from behind. Ah! But the light hit Shizuka, causing her to trip to the ground with a snap. Irene had just bought all the necessary mechanical parts and components when she heard Shizuka's call and pulled her up from the ground. Ah, it seems that Daixiong Jun is in trouble again. Irene expressed helplessness. Shizuka saw "see you later." Irene handed her a handkerchief. I'll go see what happened to Daixiong first. Thank you Irene. Shizuka originally wanted to go with her, but looking at the violin and dirty skirt in her hand, she decided to go home and take a shower and change clothes first. Daixiong family, bang bang bang. Who is it? Knock slowly, you'll be here. Yuzi, who was preparing dinner in the kitchen, heard a knock outside the door and turned around to open it, only to be stopped by Daixiong. Mom, don't open the door. What's going on? Our door is almost broken by someone knocking on it, 12513. The knocking on the door became louder and faster. Helplessly, the bear could only run to the second floor and seek the help of Doraemon. Irene finally arrived at this moment. She stopped the tripped robot that was about to continue knocking on the door and smiled at him. Please wait a moment. Irene took out the change from the boss when she was buying mechanical parts and components, and put 100 yen in his coin slot. At this moment, Yuzi's mother happened to open the door and said, "Ah, it's Yolinjiang. Could you please knock lightly on the door next time? Our door can't hold up too hard." After all, when Irene first moved in, she gave herself a watch and her husband the latest digital camera, which was not good for her to get angry with others. There's no way, the gift they gave was much more valuable than this one. After much persuasion, they were still asked to accept it. Sorry, Auntie. It was a few mischievous children who were driven away by me just now. Irene lifted the tripped robot and said to Yuzi's mother, Daixiong has something left with me. I'll bring it over to him. Ah, that's it. I'm sorry to misunderstand you, Irene Sauce. Thank you so much. Daixiong is such a kid, he always misses things. Yuzi saw the misunderstanding and said to Irene with a slightly apologetic tone, if you don't mind, come in and have a cup of tea. Omega, shouting to the second floor, Daixiong, come down quickly. Irene Sauce is here to play. Hi. Daixiong heard Irene Sauce coming and quickly ran downstairs, but for some reason, his foot slipped and he fell directly from the second floor to the first floor. Doraemon covers her face. Subset of, Irene. Even though all the props have been turned off. Sure enough, an ordinary hero is either unlucky or on a bad road. Chapter 9 Supplement 4000 word short feature. The Song of the Neighbor Girl and Doraemon. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.